Okay, first item on the agenda are the minutes. Is there any corrections or amendments to the minutes?
Make a motion, we accept the minutes as presented.
Have a motion to accept the minutes as presented. Do I have a second? Second. Get it? Have a second. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed signify by no. Motion carried. Next item on the agenda are accounts. There's no vote required. If you have any questions on the accounts, please give us the page number and the line item.
It's on page B2. And it's part of 70, where it just lists. I just had a question. It says, dog pound, $102, garden hose mender. What is that?
I think it was a garden hose and a hose mender. Of course, in that dog pound, due to the cold weather, they had to buy the best hose you can make for what you want. And so I'm assuming that is what that is. Carter, do you have any better?
That's what it is, and, stuff that they have used to be right behind something, but, stuff just.
Oh, sure, but I just thought garden hose, $102.
But it's a special.
It's some special, okay. And then I have one more question about TLM Associates. It's number 83, that 8,000. Tell me what that is. Is that drawings?
Yes, that is drawings on their bills for this multimodal grant. You see, first part's multimodal, which is the grant we've been dealing with the crosswalk up here between Domino's and the fire station, basically, with the crosswalk. We've been dealing with that for a year and a half, seems like.
Exactly.
Yeah, we still haven't got plans approved on that. And then the other one is the new site development grant.
Yeah.
That is additional work on that we are going to go to bid and hope to have bids back in front of you next month.
Okay.
Is the plan. So yeah, $7,827 is for the site development grant.
Well, really, what's holding us up on this multimodal? Is it something on our part, or?
No. We.
I mean.
No, I'm pretty clear. They know when we get it in, how it turn out, it goes right back out. We've been sitting on everything down there. They've been plans going back and everything else changes. And environmentals seem like to take forever. It's absolutely amazing. We sit on environmentals and the state owns the land.
Yeah, now we're dealing with the state property land, because we're having to cross their right of way from 45. We actually have to get their approval too. So it's all dealing with state approvals for
It's their money to give us.
lands and
You're a
excess
robber,
property.
what you're telling me.
Huh?
You're a robber, what you're
Exactly.
But the problem's going to happen with this mobile grant. We all know it. When it goes to bid.
Oh, it'll be crazy.
It's going to be
That's
way higher than what we
We've
would
been
do.
things that we're wanting to put on the grant, we're taking out of the grant because of the cost of the bid.
That's
I don't have a question on any of the accounts, but I know Kim, you were leaving on number 72 there, B2, about the final payment. Nature Trail grant, that closed that out, didn't it?
Yes, we are waiting for the final approval of the budget amendment, which is taking some time, once again, with the state, before we can file the next payment request to get the money back. Everything's been paid, everybody's been paid. We're just waiting now to get this, about $150,000, I think, back from the state. They're sitting there on hold because they can't get their own paperwork approved. But the project is complete. Closeout is waiting for them to approve the budget amendment and the closeout. Casey Smith will be filing. She's ready with paperwork to file it as soon as she can.
Is there any other questions on the bills? Okay. Next item is item C, delegations. Is anyone here who would like to address the board on any issue dealing with the city at this time? Please come forward. Okay. Next item is item D, which is we're holding a public hearing to discuss the fiscal year 2022 community development block grant application process. During this hearing, the community can be identified how they wish these funds to be used. At this time, I'd ask if Melissa Davis with Southwest Development District come up. She's one of our great administrators. She's, like I said, a very good friend of the city of Henderson. I'll turn it over to her.
Okay, I'm here actually for two grant programs. The first we'll talk about is the regular round community development block grant. That's through HUD, and the projects that you can fund with those type of grants are housing rehabilitation, your water projects, your sewer projects. They have some new categories, which are community infrastructure, community revitalization, and public health and safety. We were contacted by the fire department. They have a project they would like to apply for, but these public hearings are for the public to come, hear what projects can be funded, and voice your opinion on things that you think that the city needs to apply for. One of the requirements is a sign-in sheet. Okay. So I'm going to pass that around, and y'all can sign it on the back if you have a pen, just to say that you were here. But the grants, we apply for those in April. If you do a water and sewer project, you can apply for up to $620,000. If you do a community livability, which is what a fire truck would fall under, you can apply for $420,000. There is a target area survey that has to be done because these grants are based on low to moderate income. So 51% of the population has to be low to moderate income. And so to do that, we do target area surveys. So if you've already been asked to fill out a survey, it's your name, it's your address, and then at the bottom, there are salary categories. And all you do is just what's your yearly income for your household, and you check a box. People do not like filling those out, but for these grants, it has to be filled out. Nobody sees them but me, and I don't know most of the people here, so I mean, but 51% low to moderate. So that's sometimes hard to get because a lot of communities are not low to moderate income. The grant match for the city of Henderson this year is 15%. So you'd be responsible for 15% of whatever the project total is. You can definitely apply for more, but then you're responsible for that plus your 15%. So does anybody have any questions about that process? They're not, actually this year too, because there was so much American Rescue Act funds coming down for water and sewer projects, the CDBG grant, unless you are 2,500 connections or less, you can't apply for a water or sewer fund this year. Large systems, because of all that money, they're just not allowing it. And so you can't do line extensions, but you could rehab lines that you had. So that's why they had more in community revitalization, which is your roads, your sidewalks. You can do community centers, senior centers, several things. Child care. Child care will be something that's going to be in the regular round all the time. So in the future, child care will always be. So we've talked about that one. So does anybody have a project, or is the fire department the only one?
What's the deadline? I'm sorry.
They're due April 15th. But that is y'all's decision on what gets applied for. Now, the next one that we're going to talk about is the child care creation grant. We're talking about this for several reasons because it's going through the community development block grant, so a requirement is to have a public hearing. We made applications available online through the mayor's offices for those that had a in-home or a facility daycare, and you were either a licensed or in the pre-licensure program. These go through DHS, so those two stipulations you have to be. The development districts this year were each awarded funds, which has never happened before. So the applications come to us, and then we have a committee that sits down with DHS and goes through all the applications. Our applications, we extended the deadline, were due February 4th. We received 13 applications for $2.2 million. There's only $950,000 to go around, so unfortunately, some will not be able to be awarded in their entirety. We're hoping to go through and maybe help out as many as we can, but it just may not be what they asked for. One of the reasons, the other thing is, the funds will have to go through the city or the county, so, y'all will need to
kayaking type scenario.
approve whether or not.
What type of rod reel?
Y'all would have to approve. We had two from Henderson. We had Keystone Academy, and then we had Tender Loving Daycare applied. I had one of the churches that has a Mother Day out called, but they are not licensed, so they were not eligible to apply. So that's the other grant program. It will do things like equipment, or it will renovate an existing daycare if you need to enclose a garage to make it more space, or put a ramp in, or redo your playground, or put surface down, or if you're a facility and you need to upgrade your kitchen equipment so that you can provide meals for the children or whatever, it'll do that type of thing. But other than that, we won't do new construction because they're afraid it wouldn't get done because these funds have to be expended by 2024. So that's all I have right now. Anybody have any questions?
Melissa, when do you think our first round of grants will be awarded?
For the childcare?
This job is setting up job.
We are, by March 4th, we'll have all the letters out to everyone, whether or not they were awarded or not. And then I have to turn in an application for each one that we turn in to the state. And then the state will go through and then award, I'm thinking probably May or June. And there's no matching on these child care dollars. So the city or the county would just be the financial entity, and it runs just like the CDBG. So there's no reimbursement or anything, but you would give the funds to the daycare as needed.
Do we give the straight funds? I mean, kind of question, do we give the funds to the daycare, or do we pay for the, say, the one daycare wants playground equipment? Do we pay for that playground equipment, or do they just give us, or we just pay the daycare center for that equipment?
I will check on that for sure, but all I know is they said that right now it's just going to run like a regular CDBG, so I guess it's, we ask for the money and don't they deposit it kind of
They
thing?
deposit it, but normally on CDBG, we have to pay the invoices.
First?
Yes.
Well, I don't know about first, but we still have to pay the individual invoices.
Right. But usually it's because Casey has already requested the funds, right? I think that's how it's going to work, because it's not supposed to be really any more headache than a regular round CDBG. Now, the thing with the daycares, they'll have to get a SAM.gov account, and those things have to be in place as well.
Yeah, the city bid limits come into play on the.
Yes, in the procurement, that's the other thing. We try to tell everybody that's called, whatever the city's procurement policy is what you would have to do, because some of these are pretty, some of them are big. But now some of them are pieces and parts too, so, which the overall was kind of big. I think Keystone had a lot of equipment it needed, and so, that'll be bid out separately, so I don't know, but yeah, some of
I
them.
think our bid requirement 10.
10,000, yeah.
Yeah.
4,000 quotes.
4,000 quotes, 10,000 for bids, still bids.
Yeah.
Unless we can find a cooperative purchasing agreement that we can run off of.
Right.
That can happen.
And what was the deadline that we've got to have this paid for done, see,
2024.
like December or June?
Probably December, but I don't know for sure. I don't
I
have.
have a funny feeling if you had that much applied for.
We were shocked. We had 5 of our 8 counties had an application come in throughout the cities or something. So Hardin County was big. Now, I say it's 2.2 million. I didn't say it was all eligible. I mean, some people wanted us to enclose their front porches, so we can't do that.
Yay, are you doing that?
Well, it was to keep the parents out of the rain when they drop their children off, which I understand is a necessity, but we can't rehab homes like that, but we could enclose a garage or something like that, so.
Doesn't hurt that.
Exactly. I told them to just write it down, we'll let you know later, so. But as I stated, we're trying to go through and pick out major things, so, we want the money to go as far as it can go, but it will help the most amount of people, so. But like I said, you did have 2, so, if the city wanted to do one, the county wanted to do one, or, if they both get awarded, then there'll be 2 coming through.
Are our 2 coming along well?
Yes, ma'am.
Great, Great,
Yes,
great.
We've got several people that are reviewing the applications right now and making lists of questions so that we can get some additional information. But other than that, I think, yeah.
So we look like we're in good standing to be,
Yes. There was a few things on Keystone that we weren't going to be able to do. There was, we can't do like furniture, like tables and chairs, those type of things. When you think grant, that's something that if Keystone went away, they could take with them. And a grant has to be almost a fixed asset so that the next person could benefit from it. So there's a few of those items that we weren't able to do. So, but there's still a lot on his list that is much needed.
well, I appreciate your help
Well,
with these folks, because what they need, they really need.
Exactly. And so that's why we're trying to do as much as we can
Yes.
with the money that we have.
Anybody have any questions for Melissa?
I heard you say something about construction. We're proposing to expand.
Expansion was okay, because you're adding on to your current building.
Yes.
As long as, you know, however many children you're gonna add, there's enough footage for that. They didn't wanna do a brand new building
Yes.
with all the plumbing and all that stuff, that they were afraid that we couldn't get it done in time. And if you know anything about grants, probably couldn't. At least it's not Tdot.
Yes.
Or Tdot.
$3
$2 Tdot. We have some 2018 park grants that just now got started. Yeah. So rehab, yes, sir.
Okay.
Now, in the future, on CDBG, the city could use your eligibility to build a new daycare or whatever. They realize that people cannot get back to work if they don't have a place for their children. And so that's going to be something that's always going to be added now. So,
Thank you.
Gentlemen, I think most of y'all know that Melissa and Casey do administer our grants.
Yes.
And they administer all the
Do a great
time.
job.
They do.
well, we appreciate it. We appreciate it. We love the city of Henderson.
They're probably gonna start administering a lot of water grants across the county.
Oh, yeah.
Do what?
You probably administer a lot of these water grants.
We do have a lot of those that are asking us to do that.
Before you take your seat,
Yes.
before you get off the floor,
Before I walk out the door. You can do it on the back. You can do it on the back.
you mentioned about the sewage and water.
Mhm.
We are proposing in a few days to do a development. Will we be able to tap into some of those resources?
Well, the American Rescue Act funds, through Tdot, they have some water and sewer money coming down. I think it's going to the counties and the cities, and they collaborate to see what's needed, but I think it's public infrastructure, so I don't know if it could just be private. I mean, that's out of my realm, but I know that there's money coming down for just water sewer.
Well, it just won't be necessarily private.
Okay. Oh, okay, well, I mean, with those funds, you'll be able to extend or replace or fix or whatever. Are y'all collaborating on that?
We have got
Process of coffee.
We have-
Well, I mean, yeah. You're welcome.
We've got 1.2 million of that, the county got 2.8, almost 2.8. And we control our 1.2,
Yes.
the utility department controls its 1.2. But like I say, we've had meetings, we just had a meeting with the county day before yesterday, going over some proposals. Jill and Darrell will be at the next county commission meeting, not the one on the 22nd, but the one in March. And they will list some projects that we could use some of their money for.
And if you collaborate, then you get to go in on the first round and your reduction in match.
Yes, we think ours has been reduced to 15%.
We've already reduced them for everybody.
5%.
Right, and then we'll reduce them another.
If you
Collaborate.
We can get the county's money, we think we can get the other 10%.
I think you can too.
So we'd be down to 10% match is what we hold, even with the county.
But we bring in dirty work back, depreciation.
Oh,
It's
well,
a nasty word.
thank you. Well, if y'all have any questions, Mayor King has my
Thank you, Liz.
information. Thank you, y'all have a good day.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right. Now, we opened the community block grant up for public hearing. Nobody commented on it. Does anybody like to comment on that? The city is, the only thing the city is looking at is, since wastewater and water is not, you cannot apply for that under this round. This time, we're looking at a pumper truck, but it is anybody in the public. We have done, you know what we do? The only other thing we've done that, approved for is home rehabs.
We have done CDBG home rehab before, and we also have done sewer projects with CDBG funds. So, you know, we haven't gotten one, we haven't applied, let me rephrase, we haven't applied for one in about 2.5, 3 years, I think, maybe, or more, maybe. The last CDBG project we had was doing home rehab on North Franklin. We had a target area over there, went through CDBG and got it for housing rehab. I think we rehabbed, I think a total of what, 11 either new homes or rehabs or something on North Franklin. 9 or 11 one.
We got some demolished, removed, and replaced, and then did some rehab on some others.
Probably at the next meeting, you will be asked to make the decision on what we're applying for. At the next meeting, you have to pass a resolution, saying that's what we're applying for and approve the matching funds.
Okay, if anybody has anything they want to address on the community block grant? If not,
I'd
sorry.
like to ask a question. Now, on that, for rehabbing those homes, what is the qualifications for that? Criteria?
On the home rehab, number one is the area's got to be low to moderate income. Number one is 50+% low to moderate income. And then everybody that qualifies there can make application. And the applications are scored, and then they look at the pot of money and how much work needs to be done to the different housing. And then they score each application, and of course they take the ones off the top till the money runs out. The ones we've done in the past, Nelson Thornton, we did most of our housing projects, and now they have retired.
So when I first got elected, we were doing one at Blue Ray, y'all were finishing one up at Blue Ray.
Yeah, when you
On
start.
Blue Ray Road, that one.
Yeah.
Then we did the one on Franklin.
Yeah, North Franklin.
Did we do one,
We did Franklin twice, didn't we?
Well, we did Franklin once, just a target area. Now, we did have some programs through the
you
years
said we did more.
or citywide. So anybody citywide could apply, and then they scored them just like the other grants. So you could have ones, you know, here and there. But when we did the Libray project, we actually went in for 2 grants. We said the CDBG and a home grant. So we dropped a little over $1 million over there
Yeah.
on those 2 together.
We've done, since I've been mayor, we've done 3 of those.
Yeah, we've done 3 houses.
We've done 3 of those.
Since you've been here, we've done several.
And y'all did several before I came up, so that is something we probably, you know, since I've been, we've been probably a bit over $2 million in that.
Wow.
Thank you.
Anyone else? At this time, I'll close the public hearing. We'll go to item F. Item F, discuss, consider reinstating the COVID leave for the city employees. I think Diana's going to do that for us.
Okay. I'll let the little note speak to y'all, but I'm just going to do a recap of it. So back in, I think it was March or April of 2020, the Families First Coronavirus Response Act was implemented, and what that did for full-time employees, they were allotted up to 80 hours of paid leave, but it didn't come under sick bucket. It was mandated by the government, and that ended December 31st, 2020. You all, as a board, extended that up through June 30th of 2021. So since then, obviously, we've got still have COVID cases. There's a lot of people that are having to take time off work and missing time, and they're having to get into their sick time buckets, their vacation buckets, their bank holiday buckets, and if they don't have any of that, we do have people that are willing to donate some time of their own vacation, or they have to take it unpaid. So what we're asking is that you all consider implementing the employee paid sick leave for COVID issues, for people who have COVID or people who have family that have COVID, still only up to the 80-hour bucket. And if the 80-hour bucket's already been used, that's it. So for instance, if I didn't use any COVID, the government COVID money until this year. So my 80 hours would have started this year. But now we've got about 8 people who use their whole 80 hours. Yeah, eight employees use their whole 80 hours prior to 6:30. And then we've got 19 employees that use a portion of all that prior to 6:30. And then since then, I'm going to have to do some research. We'll have to look back at timesheets to see who else used it since then. But we've had several people put out.
This came out of the department head meeting. The department heads asked that we reconsider this. Of course, it's got to meet y'all's approval. We do not know exactly how much it's going to cost us because we haven't got an accurate count, and you're really replacing, in most cases, sick days that are not paid if they don't need them for something else. So you may be putting leave back in their bucket, as you called it, that may never get used. But a lot of these employees out. We have a lot of new employees that didn't have a whole lot of sick leave to start with. So yes, we had several employees that ran out. But luckily, I think we've had other people donate annual leave to them to keep them on the payroll. I don't think we had a single employee miss. I may be wrong, but I'm thinking for the most part, we didn't have employees that missed a paycheck.
No paycheck, they might have today.
Yeah, so.
I
Would we-
had one that missed a lot of pay.
Okay.
I want to ask this question, so if.
She already used her, I think, most of hers.
No, she used 2 days
Okay.
of the original, and then she got no pay because when they were full-time, she didn't get all the benefits, and she had their vacation and stuff, and
But she was
did
only
all the
part-time,
week
she
and
took
all.
that.
Yeah, I know, but when she became full-time,
Mhm.
she was full-time when she got the 2 the 2 COVID days,
Mhm.
and then after that, she did lose some pay.
So yeah, we've had a few employees that might have missed the pay.
So if we make this extension of the COVID leave for up to 80 hours, what about those folks that were generous enough to give
We plan, according to what we propose, to give their leave back
back
to
to
them.
them?
I mean,
Okay.
that's where it came from. We're gonna
Right.
try our best to give it back to whoever donated it.
Okay.
Uh,
Well,
I mean, I'd say we did have one employee pass away due to COVID, and we had several people donate enough money to get him through the next check, at least get his wife something. But, we may not do that one, but otherwise, we'll try to get the donating employees back their annual
back
leave.
what they got to hold.
Yeah, back to home.
Well, I'd like to make the motion to extend this COVID leave, this 80 hours. And I don't know if I'm saying to 6/30 of 22, that gets us through this year, this fiscal year. And I know your cutoffs and that's the day. So we may have to readdress it at a later time. But that's my motion, is to take it to 6/30 of 22, and then to make sure we.
Retroactive
we
July
give-
1.
Right, and give these folks that donated, make them back whole.
Yes, you'll do.
Have a motion to approve
Let
the,
me say this right there. This systematically, it's a problem everywhere. Not only just the city, but everybody's missing pay. Where I worked at, when the governor took that off the table, mandating that we pay these people for being off, it's hurting. It's hurting a lot of people. There's a lot of people that, and surely they got COVID or they're off because someone else is back. There's a lot of people that are in that situation right now. And I suggest this, we got state representatives, we got senators. This kind of stuff is what we really need to be talking to them about, because it's a problem. And I'm gonna tell you, it's gonna get even better. This new strain came on, you got people being off work, you got people being sick, you got people that have been fired because they've been off so much. I would ask, and I beg, if you have a state representative or I know someone is in the government office, say something. This is time to say something, but it's just not a Henderson problem.
Yeah.
It's statewide, and it's bad. So I just want to say that, and I'll second the motion.
Second the motion.
Yeah.
We have a motion and a second. Is any other discussion on the motion? Okay. Well, I'll make one statement on this and I think Jim and I, with the last month and a half, we've been hit harder in the city with COVID. We were hit prior. I think you could ask the fire department. Fire department locked itself down, and nobody could go to the fire department unless they were called out. The police department, I think everybody in public works from the mechanic was on the back of the garbage truck this last month and a half, and I think, we took a pretty good hit this last month and a half, and I'd like to compliment those guys because we stayed open. We didn't close, we still stayed open and got the job done, so I would compliment them for doing that. I have a motion and a second. All in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed, signify no. Motion carries. Thank you, guys. Okay, next item on the agenda is consider the recommended change to the police department rank structure. Chief?
First, I want to say that on behalf of the city employees, we appreciate what you do. Like Michael was saying, it is a problem for our families, that don't work for the city. But we do appreciate you taking care of our employees. And that goes unnoticed with the city employees, once you know that. I'm asking tonight, as previously discussed in our work session, I'm asking for us to allow me to add an additional captain's position in the police department. This person will oversee all of our investigative division from narcotics, the seizures of property, the evidence involved. There's a lot of work that's going to go with this, but I would like to ask that we put that position in the police department.
And that's moving a sergeant position to a captain position, correct? It's not changing.
Then we're not
Everything like we talked about previously.
Will this let us be able to do a little bit more investigative work?
That's our whole goal, because today I had Chief Crow on the phone with the departments around us, and we are way behind when it comes to investigations. And we've got one investigator that he can't really dig into a case because he comes in the next day and there's 3 new ones on the desk. So he's just hitting the high points, and I don't like that. I think we need to be looking at it. Everybody's important to us.
And remind me, this is days, nights, rotation?
This will be all hours.
Okay.
Whatever. It's not a set shift.
Oh, I knew we had several conversations, so I was trying to get that clear. Based on the previous conversation that we had about this position, I believe that it's needed, and I would like to make a motion that we do go ahead and restructure the rank as you laid out to us in our previous work sessions.
I have a motion to approve the request for the police department. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. Is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye. All opposed signify by no. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is discuss and consider accepting bids on the mowing of the cemetery. Jim?
Each year, we actually take bids on mowing the city cemetery. The contract has the option to renew it for an additional year for the same amount of money. That happened last year. So now it's time to rebid the project again. I know at times the board members have had some questions about the mowing we've had done, so you've got a copy of the contract that we normally have signed by whoever gets that. If you have any questions or want to add anything, please feel free to make those recommendations. And without any further ado, basically, I'm asking you to go out for bid, and we'll have bids in front of you next month. So I just want to go ahead and throw it on the table for you to look at, and if you have any questions, I'll answer them as best I can.
I would hope that we had, we were trying to get some feedback as to when they were going to be doing it and
Yes.
stuff. And I would hope that we get the bids in from the people we point out we really do want to kind of stay notified as to what's going on there.
Yes.
They gonna let Carter know before they,
Actually, they're supposed to text Carter and myself before they start and when they get done.
It was in
So
the
7 to
contract.
10 days.
Huh?
7 to 10 days.
7 to 10 days, and he controls when they mow.
Okay.
At times, sometimes we think they mow, but, well, basically, for the most part, during mow season, they do mow it once a week, and they bill us once a week, so.
So, but they are also responsible for if they chip or tear up one of the monuments.
Yes.
And because, I mean, we've replaced, or we've repaired in the past
Mhm.
at our expense.
Yeah.
So, how are we gonna manage that?
To be honest, it's very hard to police that because there's so many monuments, and you never know, by the time you notice a problem,
Yeah,
a lot of times there's not only the lawnmower people up there, there's other people going through, there's the grave digger up there with his equipment, so it's a little hard. Now, we have had people that we've made pay for damages before.
yeah.
But yes, that is always a concern with the larger equipment they try to mow with and at the speeds they're running on that cemetery.
Yeah.
Yes, they have a bad habit of bumping monuments, especially cornerstones that are small. They
Right.
try to mow the top of them, and a lot of times they can't, so the blades chip. Of course, I know they don't do it on purpose.
No,
It's
no.
just, you know, it's just a part of the beast. The only problem you got is, some of those stones up there, a lot of those stones are irreplaceable.
Yeah.
Even
they're
if you wanted
historic.
to, you can't replace it. So they really need, we try to stress to whoever gets the contract, they've got to be very careful.
Yeah, and they're mowing that lot and the adjacent cemetery.
They're mowing all the city cemetery, and then they're also mowing Dean Cemetery over in Baldwin City.
Right,
Mhm.
so, and,
They do it for a dollar figure for the, for the mowing.
yeah,
Mhm.
I think it was like, we were ended up paying $900.
900 a mowing last year. The last 2 years, we paid 900 a mowing.
yeah.
Mhm.
And they did a nice job.
Yeah, they do it, and they stay on top of it. you
Yeah,
know.
they did.
You know,
They
we've
did.
had mowers many years ago that got to a point where they couldn't get over it before it was already grown up on the other side, and they were having trouble, they were just not, didn't have enough equipment and manpower to get it done.
Right, right.
This crew does get in there, they get it done, they get out.
I noticed you had put in there the directions, have we always had that?
Yes. We try to make sure it sort of starts at one side and works its way to the other. It keeps the cemetery looking nicer,
Right.
instead of them just doing the mowing and not weeding anything, and then coming back and weed eating at the
Right.
end, or starting at one front and going to the back. That means half of it always looks bad.
Right.
So I think it always looks better to start on one side or the other and work your way
Yeah.
across the cemetery.
And to keep the grass off of the drive or the street or,
Mhm.
yeah.
And, of course, this crew that's been doing it the last few years, do get in there and get it done quickly.
They
Yeah,
got
If you had a
enough people.
smaller group that was in there,
they got it quick.
it would be much more noticeable if they did not work it from side to side.
Okay,
In fact, back years ago when the city mowed it, we did it the same way.
right, gotcha.
You mow a section, we did it, we move on.
Do we have to take bids?
Yes. Yes, this is a contract, the amount of money involved, you do have to take bids. Because it's over
Well, listen, I
$10,000.
know the guy that's doing it now, I think he's done a good job.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
Do you have to give it to the lowest bidder?
You have, if you don't, you have to have a good reason you don't.
Yeah,
Okay.
Now, if you get a bid, low bid from somebody that has a terrible reputation and you can document that, then you can maybe bypass it, but otherwise, no.
I know, was it two years ago that we took bids or something and some guy got it and we had to call the other guy back in to?
It was probably about 6 years
It's
ago.
been
have
I know it's been a while.
yeah,
It's been 6 or 8 years ago anyway.
yeah.
Mhm.
But
Sometimes, the lowest bid is not the best.
I agree, but our
What
laws,
we gotta do is what we gotta do.
state laws say we gotta bid it, we gotta choose the
Well, that's a-
lowest responsible bidder.
That's up to us to stay on top of it.
Okay, I just want to
Make a motion
Oh, Jim, as we update this contract, I mean, it's typical what we've given in the past. I noticed on the third page under others, that needs to be changed from miscellaneous 1099, miscellaneous to 1099 NEC, which will change the form.
NEC?
NEC,
Okay, I did not know
What's that
that.
stand for, Pete?
non-employee compensation.
Okay.
All right.
Well, you do that.
Ain't you busy?
She's the one sending them out. so.
Yeah.
ZBA.
All right, with that change to the proposed agreement, make a motion, we go ask for bids for mowing the two cemeteries.
Have a motion to go to bid, do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second, any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye. All opposed signify by no. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is concerning purchasing 2 composite samplers for the east and south lagoon at a cost of approximately $7,000 each. Darrell?
The new permits that we got, some of the parameters that were graph samples are now have to be composite samples, or they have to be flow proportional composite samples. And the only way to do that is have a programmable sampler where it takes a certain volume, certain intervals, and we priced, there's like 2 companies that make them, 3 vendors, one of them sells samplers to the others. The lowest per sample price was from their East Coast samplers. We do have like 3 of these type samplers. Before we had one on the influent of each lagoon, and then we had, because of pre-treatment, we had one on the effluent, only the north. And this will put a sampler at east and south and comply with the current permit as it starts.
You're recommending the first one,
Recommending the first, I think it's the first one, yes. Teledyne. And they're prepped by Cashmere and Associates, Land and Office in Oak Ridge, Tennessee. That would be the East Coast sampler, which they hold up very well, parts availability, things like that. We've had good luck with the ones we've had, and not so much with some of the other manufacturers.
We need 2, right?
We need 2. We need one for the north, and I need one for the east and one for the south.
I make a motion that we allow Darrell to purchase the 2 from Teledyne.
Have a motion to approve the purchase. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. Is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye. All opposed signify by no. Motion carries. Next item is item J, to hear a report from the utility department on recent mail delivery delays and how it affected utility bill delivery. The report will include steps taken by the utility department to address this issue. Alicia?
I would say in my 12 years now in the utility department, this past January, that's the worst.
Yep.
That's the worst I have been through. The phones ring constantly. We haven't called everything in the book. We did not change anything that we did in January. Our bills went out. Actually, since 2019, when we implemented the AMR system and went to the drive-by meter reading, we had backed up the days that we have before. Prior to that, our bills went out on the 15th and on the 30th. But once we have done the AMR system, that has built some days in there for us. So we try to get the bills out 2, 3, 4 days earlier so that they're actually in the mailbox on the 30th or on the 15th. So anyway, I do really not know what happened, where the backlog is. I have several suspicions. I know others out west did some tracking of some of their bills and found them sitting on the dock at Memphis, the city mayor. And I have a feeling that's where I'll report to.
Well, I know the company that prepares the bills for us, we send the file down to them one day, and it goes out in the mail, and they have proof of that.
Right. They send us, when they send out the email, they send us exactly how many pieces they send out, timestamps and everything, when it leaves their dock. And the mail system is there in that building.
So we're at the mercy of them at that point, or the mail system.
The mail system.
I mean, it's out of our hands. We did what we were to do, correct?
Correct.
Well, I know y'all were very understanding and waived some penalties and tried to.
We did not, normally we have 2 cycles, as you know. We post penalties on the 10th each month, which is the 11th, and we post them on the 26th of each month. For both of those cycles in January, we did not post penalties till the 13th at the end of the day. And on the second cycle, the 27th at the end of the day. So that gave everybody 2 or 3 more days. In January alone, we adjusted $5,649 worth of penalties. Normally, that's $500 to $700. So the manpower and answering the phone calls, having to write up bills instead of being able to stand, taking more time, posting and all these adjustments, it was a nightmare. Good thing is, the billing that went out on the 30th of January, which is February 10th due date, was smooth.
Right.
It got there when it was supposed to, and we have not had any issues.
Lisa, can you give your board the options that people have of how to pay their bill?
Yes. In July of 2017, it's when we changed from the postcards to our letters. And one of the reasons we did that was the mail, because the postcards were getting lost in the mail. We were having issues there. And plus, that gave more options. This form that's in your packet, because of all the negative publicity that we were getting and all the calls and everything, we decided to post something on Facebook. This went out on Facebook and also hit the front page of the newspaper. And once again, explained all the options we currently have now, which is the online through our HendersonTN.org website. We have a dedicated 506 phone number to call to check your balance, pay your bill, all that. Of course, we have our night drop at any time. Call us. There's bank drafts, and I will say we have probably done 50 plus new bank drafts in the month of January, and they're still coming in. So that's the cleanest and the easiest for everybody involved. You don't get penalties, you know it's going to be paid, and that takes care of it. So, and thinking about, okay, now what can we do to try to curtail this from happening again? Which I'm sure it will. It may be next Christmas when the backlog hits again, but it's going to hit again. We have been working with our local government and doing e-billing. We've set up a dedicated email, a day or 2 ago, and we're working on trying to get our messaging and get that all in place. So hopefully come March, maybe sooner, maybe the next billing after, well, we're billing now, but hopefully the next billing, we might have some that we can test to see how that goes and then start campaigning to get people's email addresses so that they can do the e-billing. Also, we're working on, like I said, we already have at the minimum 3 days built into trying to get our stuff in the mail. But according to the post office and what they actually have sent to us, that their delivery window is up to 5 days now. We are trying to back up another day or 2 and trying to get the bills out so that the bills, Lisa and I were working today trying to get it out the door today, which today's the 10th, and they normally would not go out to the 15th. So we're trying to build as many more days in the front end, so the back end. Not only do our customers have more time to turn that around, but the mail also has time to get there without so much delay. So that is what we're trying to do right now to hopefully.
Another question that you or Jim either one take this one. We got a lot of flack over is the fee charge on credit cards. We don't receive any of that money.
No.
And I think you can, a lot of y'all explain that, but I think a lot of people think that's just another way we try to make some extra money.
The credit card companies charge a fee for using credit cards. Depending on where you go, the business, if they don't charge you on top of what you owe them, then they're eating that fee. And the average for all the banks we deal with and all the different type of cards is 3%. And so the utility department charges, correct me if I'm wrong, 3% for all credit cards. Now, the online, what's the fee for it?
It's 2.45 if they call themselves and make the payment through the call center or online.
So it is a little cheaper for them to call than to actually come in and swipe the card. We're looking at other options, but last year, based on our total dollar figure for credit cards citywide, was about $1,100,000 that we ran by credit card. So you figure 3% on top of that. That's what somebody has to pay to process these cards. If we eat the fee, then you're looking at a rate increase to cover that fee
Yeah.
for the customers that do it. So that's the reason we never have done that. We're looking at options maybe to try to drop that fee to 2.5%. I think we're working with somebody now that we may be able to drop it to 2.5%, but that's what it is. So we hate it, but that's, the only other option is to raise rates in order to pay for the credit card fees. And when we've discussed it before, the board has not been willing to do that.
No.
So, but credit card usage has gone up drastically. And I do want to commend the ladies in the utility department. They've worked a lot of long, hard days. I've been over there and that phone ringing off the wall, and basically they have to wait till 4 o'clock before they can do their normal work, because there's just so much customers. Plus, they've had people out with COVID, and they've been short people, so I got to commend them all, because they have worked hard during all this mess. We're just now getting a new software system, and they're still learning some parts of it, and then all this hit, and it was just unbearable, basically. And most days, it's at least 6 o'clock a lot of days where they're getting out of it. We close the door, so.
And I'm correct that on the bank draft, there is no fee associated with that.
Bank draft, there is no fee at all in bank draft. That's a free service we offer.
Smartest way to go.
Well, the smartest way to go is in March, we have budget billing, and that's kind of equivalent to the levelized, I think it's what Southwest called it. But you know how much you're going to pay each month, based on 12 months history, yes. And so you pay your $50 every month. It comes out bank draft, and you don't have to even worry about it until it's time to equal it up each year.
Yeah.
Does anyone have any more questions with Darrell or Lisa or Jim on the utility bill? Thanks, guys. Jay? Chief? Darrell?
Additionally, I would like to ask the board to allow me to purchase 3,000 feet of 2-inch polyethylene gas piping. It's $1.38 a foot, that's $4,140. And this will be used to run gas down Homestead. They're doing a number of houses down there, and obviously, if you can catch them on the front end as they're building, you can get the gas load, the heating load, cook stove, water heater, those type of things. And so gas is in, pipe is in short supply, and we kind of use what our inventory is. We've got a number of places that we've already in the budget to do, and the money's in the budget for the pipe. We just have to buy it when we can get it. So I want to try to keep our stock at the current levels and, kind of buy it as we use it. So that total would be like $4,140.
If it's in this budget, do we need a motion to?
Total 4,000 rules require board action.
Smart to have it in stock, so I'll make a motion that we allow Darrell to purchase that much in pipe.
There's a motion to approve the purchase. Do I have a second? Second. I have a second. Is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye. All opposed, signify no. Motion carries.
We got, Steve White sent an email around asking utilities to comment on the response time, lead time on materials and things like that. And everywhere from Crossville to whatever, they're saying that HDPE pipe, anything plastic, anything like service line materials, anywhere from 4 to 40 week backlog. And it's getting worse.
See,
Really, you can get it, you gotta get it.
that is the question we sit across that we're saying that we have to set these projects out this summer. So what we think we're gonna use in the Tdot money, because we've got to get it obligated for 24 and spent for 26, and we're gonna be pushing it, trying to go out in the summer, so it's gonna be a challenge.
If you order some of the, like wastewater pumps and things like that, what they're telling me, you're gonna be looking at somewhere around 18 months delivery time.
I don't know how we're gonna get these projects.
It is what it is. That's all I have.
Yes, I had, wrote y'all off a letter about the update on my classes and stuff. Did all of you get my letter? I know y'all probably had some questions about that. When I stepped into fire chief position, I didn't realize all the stuff that we wouldn't be doing. So let's took some time away from me trying to get all this, and then COVID hit. What I'm asking is for my officer to give me another year on it, the third year, to finish it, and the fourth year of my officer degree. Is what I'm asking.
I don't mean to speak out of turn, but I do know some of us have talked about that. We did, thank you for sending that letter and explaining some things. But I think we want to discuss it further amongst ourselves, and probably as we have you come in and just we're talking about budgets, and it's a good time for us to have a conversation and ask some in-depth questions. So if you don't mind, I'd like to set that aside until we do have a conversation one-on-one with you and not from the bench.
I just told you they put everything behind. I ordered a book and still have the guy to get it. So.
Take a break.
And the generator is supposed to be shipped out into April. That we ordered back in July. So, yeah, that and
What's the ETA on that, do you know?
with the ship dates, I think the 26th.
Of April?
It's in the back of the truck, the chief. What did you do?
Yeah.
His question is, yeah, we're gonna get here till 10:30.
We got,
So it's a question, we're gonna get it today or 14:30.
For the fireman 2 and fireman 3 class, is that 2 classes on each, or is that 1 class for each certification?
That's one class, that does 2 certifications.
And the inspector, you know, that was one of our first things. Now, I couldn't really.
Yeah,
tell.
I start that the 28th.
So we don't have that either?
No.
Okay. Well, again, we need to probably have some offline conversations
Okay.
and ask some questions to see where you are. Okay?
Okay, sounds good. I just want to let y'all know.
And I appreciate your letter. I just had some questions from the letter. Okay, thank you.
I'll let you, Council.
Those conversations have to be one-on-one. You can't have board members outside the building.
Okay.
well,
Okay.
our budget meetings are advertised, so you can discuss it here, budget.
Yeah, budget's when we want it.
We, you know, say we do planning sessions, which we'll have to do planning sessions still on other things, ARP money, which we advertise it on Facebook and in the newspaper. We advertise all the meetings, really.
Yeah.
Everything we do, we meet, we just advertise problem. It's
You
just,
only see
it's
it
just,
here.
yeah, you just, like I say, it's like anything else. When you go in and sit down, we look around, there's nobody around but us. And we don't have much gallery.
Right.
So,
But just so the gallery does know, we meet a lot in work sessions, all advertised. But we just don't have that people here. But, I mean, we had, our last work session was about 3 hours. So, I mean, we spend a lot of time looking at budgets and that sort of thing. So, you're welcome anytime.
Yeah, yeah.
Only thing I had, we have received a shoplift and it have been installed. And also, our flare mower have been shipped and we should have it here this week or next week.
And I said, I'm sorry I bring it up all the time, but I'm sure you're staying on the page with people to make sure we got them, that they're gonna they're gonna do the work, get us in there, get us in this spring.
They're gonna kill us, Carl, if you don't hear me.
Jim, I think you have a couple things, don't you?
Yes, one item, I was notified by email that the city is awarded some federal funds through Tdot, STVG, used to be the Surface Transportation Funds, used to be called STP,
Yeah.
and they changed to STVG. We use these funds different ways, and through the years, the federal government and the state government does it different ways. When we did East Main, and we repaid East Main with these funds, we got a 5-year block of money and said, so we were able to do a bigger project. Now they're giving 1-year blocks of money. $95,000 is our block of money. And these are Tdot projects, and we already discussed how hard it is to get a Tdot project approved. Depending on what you use the money for, you're limited to what you use it for, and depending on what you use it for, the match can be an 80-20 project, or it can be a 100% project with no match. Before we used this money also to light the bypass. 100 bypass, we did all the intersections, was part of this money.
There's no match on that, is there?
Huh?
So there's
No, lighting on Tdot right-of-ways is not any match. So if, with your approval, I'd like to meet with Barry Alexander, our engineer, one of our engineers, our traffic engineer, to discuss maybe lighting another intersection on our about 45 bypass, say Woods Drive, or Erickville Drive. And I don't know how far this money will go, but till we meet with him, or I could look at something else that you would like. The problem with getting any type of repaving, you're limited on the streets you can repave. It's got to be a major arterial street. It can't be, Crook Avenue or North Avenue. It's got to be East Main qualified, North-South Church would qualify, Midland might even qualify. But other than that, the rest of it is not going, because they're considered minor residential streets because of Tdot. So lighting is an option. There may be other options.
Do you remember, Jim, offhand what the cost was for when we lit the new intersection there at Tractor Supply?
Tractor Supply is completed. The poles cost us $16,000 for 4 poles. I have not got the invoice, to my knowledge, on installation yet. In fact, I was never notified they got them put up. And I drove through there one night and I was like, almost ran off the road. No. But I was surprised because they never called us, told us, because the lead time on those poles were like 4 or 5 months. So it took a long time. Now that project we paid out in-house.
Right.
We did all that ourselves.
That would probably be a pretty good guesstimate of what it would cost to light, say Erickville or.
Yes, if we're going, for those poles, you gotta realize was above ground wire, which lowers your cost considerably over trenching. Plus Southwest did it for us at their cost, which is gonna be cheaper than an outside contractor. I don't know with this project where I can even use them as the contractor. I may have to bid this project and actually have an outside lighting contractor come in to do it. So that may drive the cost. It may drive the price up. But if we can light one more intersection, the only cost we'd have would be the electric bill and the maintenance of the lights after the fact. So.
With all the Tdot work and all the things that's going on Erickville with the hotel, is some of that included, or, I mean, I don't want to spend money when we could have gotten it another direction.
Well, there's no state money, anything down there at Erickville concerning, there is no grant monies, it's all private dollars with the David Hunt's group.
Okay.
So none of that is any grant money involved.
Okay.
So, no, that would not qualify. But, we'll look at both intersections, then we'll come up with a recommendation and the cost, and we'll come back to y'all. And, that's okay.
We can probably get that done before we get any paving done. There's just no way to get that.
Mhm. And we do have to have this money obligated by September 1st or 30th, one or the other. And we still got a little more time after that to do it. But once again, we always heard about the supply chain and how long it's going to take to get poles and lights, and
That's killing us.
it's killing everything.
Yeah.
So, But if we don't have it obligated by September, we just lose it, goes back to Tdot in their big pot.
Well, we don't need to do that.
Yeah, so, either we, last year, to be honest, because we were out of funds, I got an email that said you're out of funds, you know, I was negative actually, because we spent everything on East Main with the last project. And it was that way for like, didn't hear a word from them and then I heard something August 1st. She said I have to have it obligated by September 30th. I called everybody I could call and yell at about that, and everybody apologized, but it didn't make no difference. You know, they blamed it on COVID, you know. It's all
That's the
COVID.
catch-all, Lindy.
Yeah, COVID's the reason for everything.
We
So
need a motion
now,
on that.
I do have the email, I did have the email in time to actually look at a project.
Do you need a motion on that?
No. If you're okay, I'll just go ahead and talk to Barry and come back with some recommendations.
Yes.
Okay. Second thing, we do need to set a budget meeting. We discussed having a budget meeting. A couple dates have come to light as being possibly March the 1st. If y'all will go ahead and try to meet as early as a Tuesday night, March the 1st, is the first option to get us to meet earlier. We also could meet possibly on March 17th, later, which may be we meet both nights. We may need to, because we won't be able to get through all the departments all in one night. We'll split up the department heads and have them come on different nights.
I'm good on March 1st and 17th. Can we make it 5?
Yeah, that's fine.
I like
It's
5.
great with me, it just depends on the rest of these
I
here.
like 5.
If everybody get here at 5.
Get here as close to 5 as I can get, I'm coming from Ballers. Do we want to go ahead and set both those dates?
We can set both the dates if y'all,
Are you guys here?
yeah, if y'all's
I'm
permission.
good with that.
Good.
Okay. The 1st and the 17th.
So we're gonna have first,
What about you, Joe?
so March the 1st and 17th at 5 o'clock.
At 5 o'clock.
And then I'll get with, we'll get with Jim, kind of let him know the format, if you want us to present the budget, or you want to see the department heads, or kind of get with Jim and give him how you feel on that.
I think a couple of members already discussed, they'd like to go ahead and see the department heads with their budgets all the
Yeah.
same night. We just pick which ones,
And
space
can,
them out over 2 nights.
can we put a time frame on some of the department heads?
We probably need to certain departments.
Yes, Gary.
We were gonna call you out.
I'm in a murder trial that day, so I don't know how long it'll go. It's a 2 day.
Which one?
Huh?
The first one,
The
so-
first, the first.
Oh, then we'll put you on.
We put it on first, go 17th.
All the money they spent on
I don't want to 17.
I volunteer to go first.
Super, okay. Thanks, guys. Okay, Jim, anything else?
No, that's all I have.
Dan? Alicia? Kevin? Norm?
Do we have any update on Hunt? Do we have any update on Hunt?
Well, as of now, we're waiting on, we're waiting on them to give us some stuff that we can give them, some stuff with the wastewater. We're moving slowly. They've already been out there doing more samples.
Our engineer has been here, Daryl's met with him, discussed the site, they tried to contact David Hunt, engineers at L.I. Smith. I don't know if they touched base, but our engineer and their engineer are supposed to be getting their heads together and get the details on the elevations where we can work off those, and that's what we're trying to do.
Then, as of right now, we're still gonna look at that for the lift station.
Have to have a lift station, that, you know, we'll be crossing the wetlands, plus we would be, above grade, so we would be, probably restricting the flow in the streams, so they will.
Got a curve.
Right, we were looking at earlier.
Take care of the crawdads.
You all right? Keith?
2 things. One, how is the project, update on the project on Main and White with the sewer and the dome?
We've done the 2-point repairs that we need to make before they can line that pipe. The liner, they, been in contact with the supplier of that, and it's, supposed to be shipped on the 28th, when they're supposed to get it, and so we're looking at about March the 1st, putting the liner in there. And I've been in contact with Charlie Garrett and let them know what our timetable is and everything. We've got a game plan for the stub outs they need to serve the building, locations, and we've shot elevations, and so that project is waiting on materials.
The other thing, it looks like our gas situation's a lot better. We've got cold.
It's getting a little better. We're not making a whole lot of money yet, but, this month, our rates were back at the floor again, just barely. But you can get that for next month, as we talked, gas rates right before close this past month went through the roof, like by $2. It went from $4 to basically $6.25 overnight. So this month, we're gonna be paying a lot for gas, so.
So quit praying for cold weather?
Huh?
Are you asking us to quit praying for cold weather?
I think for the customers, we need to not pray for cold weather.
Okay.
So that's
For
right.
the cheap gas.
That's it.
Just, I forgot about this. There is going to be a public hearing on February the 15th at 6 p.m. That's going to be in the classroom upstairs here. And that's related to the master plan that we're writing for the park to help us prepare to write for future grants. We need to put a master plan in place. So I encourage everyone to be present for that and give input as far as what you would like to see take place at Gene Record Park.
Actually,
Citywide, it's not just that one. We're looking to inventory the whole city. So,
Yeah.
thank you for the reminder, Jim.
Did you get the little tapped off, clean, filled up, whatever?
We have the Southwest with the electrical service that was going from the water plant over there down yesterday. We've had the well contractor come in and they abandoned it within 4 foot of the top of the ground according to Tdot specifications. And we'll go back and cut all the piping, take the fence down and do all of that stuff, when weather permits and get that to where it's just a blank site and everything that we
Never know
have,
what
the
to
outside, never know what's there.
Okay. And I just want to say, Alicia, I'm sorry y'all had to go through all you had to go through. And I appreciate you being professionals about it, because I know there was times you wanted to pull your hair out. But tell your whole staff there that we appreciate them handling this as professionals and doing everything we can to meet the needs of our customers, and particularly, I mean, we waived a lot of penalties for folks, and I'm glad we did, because they are our customers, and the customer's always right. So, thank you.
Okay, Bill? No. This time I entertain a motion to adjourn.